Hey guys, it's mcfixit here. We're going to take this older MD3, this is one of the originals that the Innova made, and add a pretty cool stencil die to the bottom of it. My buddy Joel, this is his disc, just got sponsored by Gravity, so they needed some dyed discs, so I was going to do it. So I will wipe the lower portion of this and show you all the tools, the supplies, and the exact know-how on how to do this. So here are the tools and the supplies. You'll need whatever disc you want. You have to figure out what design you want. This is one of the ones that they gave him. I'm not certain how well, it might be hard to see on the screen right now, but there's lots of little dots. I don't know how well that's going to work with my Cricut, so I cut it out with my Cricut. Going to be kind of hard to see, but that's okay. We'll make it work. Then we'll need some transfer paper. This is Oracle 651 for the vinyl. You're going to want some kind of weeding tool and a credit card or one of these little tools that lets you get all the air bubbles out. You'll want to wear gloves. We're going to be using this little stove I got, electric burner, just for a few minutes to get it nice and warm. You can easily ruin discs if you leave them on too much, and this is off, it's not even plugged in yet. And so don't touch it if it's on. Be smart. We're going to be using iDye Poly Black, and I'll show you a quick little snippet of how I made this. It's half a container, warm water, black, iPie hot warm water, mix it up, just half of one. So you have some for later. You're going to want some kind of funnel, some kind of old pan. Do not reuse this pan. You're going to want some kind of, use Dawn dish soap and water in a spray bottle, lots of paper towels. You may want some blue tape, and then also some acetone that will help remove it with the paper towels. So to go ahead and get started, you can go ahead and make up your mixture. Again, that is just using a mason jar with warm water, and you cut the package, use half of it. So that will be good to go. I'm going to go ahead and now I'm going to plug this in. I said it wasn't plugged in a minute ago. It truly wasn't. This is a very short cord on this. That's the only thing I don't like about it. And we'll go ahead and plug it in. And then when you turn it on, the red light should turn on. I'm going to turn it back off for a second. We are going to just pour some water on, or some dye on in. And the goal of this is just to kind of fill up the bottom, maybe a touch more. And I should have had a paper towel out already because you don't want this to spill all over everything, which it so can easily do. And you just set that off to the end. We're going to go ahead and turn this on. I'm not going to put it, I'll probably put it on like 3.5, 4, and just kind of scoot this off to the side. And when it starts to kind of smoke a little bit, we will know we are ready. But as that's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and work on getting my disc ready. So his name and number are on the back side, so I will go ahead and put some tape on that. I mean, if you want to buy him a new disc, I'm sure he would be okay with that. He really likes dynamic disc, not disc mania. So, gonna get a couple of paper towels. I find it easiest, especially with gloves on, to just use your pick, pop that top, and go ahead. And you're just getting about the size of a quarter, and just begin to move it back and forth. Be careful. I want to keep that Disc Mania stamp at the top. New part of the paper towel, same concept. And you can kind of clean your disc with this too. Again, be careful going up too far. And one of the beautiful things is it kind of still stays on there, whatever stamp is on there. And so if you ever kind of forget, a lot of times you can look on the back like this one, but you could also bring it up to an angle and you probably would still see MD3 just a little bit. So that's done. Acetone is very corrosive, so please be careful when using it. Now it's time to clean the whole disc. Beautiful. Just a couple of drops of Dawn dish soap and water in a spray bottle will get you nice and clean. This will just kind of help make sure everything does exactly what it needs to. Just throw your paper towels away. This has not started steaming, but keep an eye on that as we continue this process. And if I didn't mention, wear some gloves. It really is helpful. You really don't want to get sick or have something spill on you. The next thing we're going to do is begin to weed this out. And so I already kind of lined it up in the center of this. And so we'll move that back off to the side. And I will begin weeding. And again, I don't know how much of those, and it doesn't look like any of them are. So I just wanted to test it real quick. We'll go ahead and kind of press this in a little to make sure. So anything you want to be black, you're going to go ahead and peel up. And so that will be the G. Yeah, it's probably not going to show any of those little. Now you do want to be careful with like the center of the R at the top. I was hoping we'd get, I mean, it may be a little bit of specks here and there, but not much. I had a feeling that might happen. They're just so small on this design. So we'll get the V up. And we'll be real careful here. It looks like we're starting to get some of the rocket and that line below that just kind of came with it, which is fine. I guess it's the smoke from the rocket, technically. Then the rocket itself. And then we'll go ahead and grab the I and the T and the Y, just like so. And I did notice just a little bit of imperfection when I was doing this, so I'm going to just kind of make it equal on the other side. I didn't mention this, and that is beginning to smoke, so we'll go ahead and turn that off and unplug it, so no electrical issues. Unplugged, and just kind of set that back off to the side. This does happen when you're doing these really fine details, so I'm going to just kind of match it on the other side and just kind of cut it and kind of cut it. Just like so. And so you got a nice little rocket in there. I'll go ahead and show you. Pretty sweet looking. These dies never come out perfect, but they always, I think, come out pretty awesome. So I like to put this kind of up to the back side so I kind of remember exactly what I'm looking at. And then the other thing I like to do, I don't know if I mentioned having a Sharpie or not, but I do like having a Sharpie so I can kind of just guesstimate where I want this on here. And so you can kind of do however you want, but I want it to be right there. And this I've already put, this is that transfer paper, works really well. You can tell I've used it a lot. It's got some coloration on it from some previous dies, totally fine. This should work really well. And I'm just gonna try to match up the circle as close as possible. This was done on a different size disc, this circle, so it may be a little different, but overall it should work pretty well. And you're going to want to try to get almost all the air bubbles out you can in the center. The rest of it doesn't really matter. It's just where your cutout design is. So we'll go ahead and begin to peel this. I find it easiest with that same weeding tool, or pick, whatever you want to call it. And the hope is it all comes off nice and smooth, just like so. And so from here, there's two ways you can do it. Because this is a clear disc, sometimes it's actually better to kind of line it up on here and bring it down where you want it to go. When they're not clear, it's a little harder to do this. And so the main thing is I got this section down first. And you can see I have air bubbles totally fine. Then we're going to go ahead and begin to wrap this up and around the disc. This will just help with any additional bubbles or anything that might happen, because we're not leaving it on the stove top or burner. You shouldn't have too many, but so just like that, and then you can begin to peel this. You do want to be careful with the different letters on there to make sure they all do what you want, which those did. Fantastic. We'll go ahead and begin to just kind of push this down. You don't even have to use that tool. And it doesn't have to be real exact, but the goal is now we come in here and try our best to remove any air bubbles, or at least push them far enough away from the edge. It's these edges that really matter. And again, you can use a credit card, you can use lots of different flat, plasticky type of things. And if it's more than like 1/4 of an inch away, I normally pull it away from it instead of trying to get the air bubble to it. It's only when it's right up next to it do I ever try to get the air bubble to it. And if there's anything else you want to add at this point, you can definitely be very careful and take like an X-Acto knife or razor blade and add to your design if that's something you want to do. This has been used a lot, so it does have a little bit of kind of dye residue on it, but that's fine. Again, you're just going really carefully over all of it, making sure you are good. I'm gonna try to get that air bubble a little further away. I don't think that one's gonna cause me any issues though. That one bounced back to the center, which is fine. And then the next thing I would say is look at it at all different angles, making sure it's exactly what you want. And then this is just for my own safety and security. I do try to cover up all of this so we don't have any oversplash, which I have had before, and it can ruin a disc die job. And since this isn't my own disc, I am going to try to make it a little better than sometimes I do my own, because I just like to have fun with it. Then the other thing I do is I put a little handle on it. And so it's just a piece of tape about 8 inches, fold about 2 inches on both sides. Gives you a nice little handle. Okay, now remember, this is unplugged. We are going to want to make sure it's kind of stirred up a little bit, because sometimes it can separate. Then whenever you are ready, you just simply place it in. And so once you kind of are set, you go ahead and leave that for about 5 or 6 minutes. Then you can kind of come back and you can even kind of test the area. You can wipe off the excess and see what it looks like. So we're gonna go ahead and let that sit for about 5 more minutes. So we are just to that 5-minute mark. I'm gonna go ahead and lift it up and go ahead and wipe. So you could see we're going to need to do it just a little longer. I am going to go ahead and remove it from the hot plate at this point and just scoot that out of the way. It should still be plenty hot. So we'll toss it back down in there just for a few more seconds. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and lift it back up. And again, just let it drip down in there. We'll do a good touch up on that. Go ahead and put that back up there if you would like. So now it's time to start to reveal. I am going to want to make sure my hands are nice and clean. But the good thing is there's no acetone in that, so for the most part should turn out really good. So because it's clear, you can go ahead and already see some of the work, which is pretty awesome. But it does look better when you flip it over and you get to see the final thing, and even better when you get to go out and throw it. So we'll set that off to the side. This is kind of the fun reveal part. Sometimes it's a little nerve-wracking too, because you know you don't want to mess up a disc, but okay, now the fun part of weeding it. I don't normally like the beginning weeding. This is the weeding I like because it reveals what you did and how it came out, which it's looking sweet. And you can see where some of those little parts were as well, which is pretty awesome. Sometimes it gets stuck to gloves, but that's okay. So just a couple little parts left. And that right there is a complete stencil dyed disc. I think that one turned out really awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you do have any questions, please let me know in the comment section below. In the description, I'll have links to all the stuff that I got. You don't have to use them, but if you would, that'd be awesome. And thank you guys so much. Have a great day. Go out there and throw some amazing disc.